Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. We're looking at the little book of 3 John, probably the smallest epistle in the New Testament, in the Greek, that is. As we look at this book, we've already learned that John is writing to a specific person by the name of Gaius. He says in verse 1, the elder to the beloved Gaius, whom I love in truth. And then you'll notice in these next 8 verses 1 through 8, beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health just as your soul prospers. For I rejoiced greatly when the brethren came and testified of the truth that is in you, just as you walk in the truth. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. Beloved, you do faithfully whatever you do for the brethren and for strangers, who have borne witness of your love before the church. If you send them forward on their way in a manner worthy of God, you will do well. Because they went forth for his name's sake, taking nothing from the Gentiles. We therefore ought to receive such, that we may become fellow workers for the truth. Now, you couldn't help but notice over and over again, John says, you. It's a very personal letter to this man named Gaius, who was walking in the truth, who had a wonderful witness and testimony. Matter of fact, when you read this little book, this one chapter book, you find that he speaks of 3 men, Gaius and Diotrephes and Demetrius. And all 3 of these had a witness. 2 of them had a good testimony, a good witness, Gaius and Demetrius, but then the Diotrephes had a bad witness. Maybe that's a good question for me right now to ask you. What kind of witness do you have? If John was writing you a letter, what would he be saying to you? Would he be talking about your good witness to others around you? Oh, how important it is. All of us have a testimony. It's either a good testimony or it's a bad testimony. And truthfully, there's many people that might say, well, I really don't have a testimony at all. And maybe that's just as bad, because we should be a testimony, a witness in such a way that people can see our good works and glorify our Father which is in heaven. So you have this Gaius. Now, one of the first things he says that I really wanted to point out, because you see in Gaius the qualities of a spiritual person, the qualities of a spiritual person. Notice what he says in the very second verse. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health just as your soul prospers. It appears that maybe Gaius had some health issues in his life. So he had some physical problems. But John points out that he has a spiritual prosperity. He has a spiritually strong health. As your soul prospers. He had a prosperous soul. That was the real person. His mind, his will, his intellect, his emotions, that prospered. They were strong. They had a great witness. Even though he had physical health issues, he had a soul that prospers. You know, I've noticed over the years, sometimes the people and Christians and believers that had the worst health issues, I mean, they were in pain, they were hurting, they were going through great difficulty with their physical lives and health, but they glowed with God because their soul prospered. That meant they were in relationship with Jesus Christ. They knew the fellowship of his suffering. They were enjoying his presence in their lives. They had souls that prosper. They had a spiritual relationship. They had a spiritual health that was good. And they get that, my friend, by spending time with Jesus. And they took knowledge of them that they had been with Jesus. You spend time with Jesus in the Word, and time with Jesus in prayer. You spend time with Jesus as you share your faith. You see that in this chapter. And my friend, you have a soul that prospers. Is your soul prospering? Gaius walked in the truth. That's why his soul prospered. That brought great joy to John, his friend, who's writing this letter to encourage him. And I pray today that you'll be encouraged to have a prosperous soul by staying in God's Word, living for Jesus, keeping your eyes on Him, turning over all the problems, difficulties, the health issues to Him. What a blessing it will be to others, even in your life. God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.